Terzo giorno iniziato con la pioggia, questo è quello che è accaduto nel warm-up, un po' di fixe per appunto predisporsi al bagnato e poi guardate. Interventi per pista bagnata, vedete sul Tony Kart Vortex di Julian Frasnelli, chiusura della presa d'aria che porta aria alla pinza del freno tramite questo condotto, ovviamente tendina serrata e chiaramente cover per il filtro dell'aria, mentre il pilota ovviamente completamente vestito con materiale da bagnato, anche i guanti, anche le scarpe. MP fa un tipo di guanti e scarpe apposito. C'è frenesia intorno al kart del leader della classifica intermedia, James Anagnostiadis. Stanno montando 4 gomme Rain anche nel secondo kart. Adesso stanno entrando piloti in pista. Sul kart di James è necessario adesso fare le pressioni. Vedete, è rientrato Anagnostiadis che sale a bordo, avviene anche il passaggio di transponder e sale a bordo del kart da bagnato e riparte. So this is the situation Sunday morning in a go-kart track during the warm-up when you are playing for the World Championship. Pressioni all'ultimo proprio istante prima di entrare in pista. Ovviamente per fare le pressioni serve un manometro. Se volete vedere la guida all'acquisto dei manometri specifici per il karting, basta leggere l'articolo cliccando al link qui sotto.
Grande novità in casa Ricky Flynn Motorsport e noi ne abbiamo parlato proprio con Ricky Flynn.
Ricky, a new logo on your go-kart, so what's the meaning?
We're in collaboration with Trident. Obviously, Trident are going to start a new Formula 4 team next year. So they obviously need drivers, and we can then start to feed them some good drivers going forward. So then I can trust them to look after all of the work we've put in with the drivers for when they move onwards and upwards in their car careers.
Why Trident?
Why not? Very good team. Last 3 years they're champions in Formula 3. They're very strong in FRECA. Obviously they're going to be new to F4, but I'm sure it won't take them long to be up to speed in F4. So very, very good team. So it was a good choice for us and them, two very professional teams to make a collaboration.
So maybe this can help to bring some other drivers in Formula 1. You already did it.
That's the plan. We already have taken 5 through these doors. And like I say, we can then pass them to Trident, who obviously are very, very professional in what they do. And I can trust them to take them on up until F2. And then obviously, hopefully they get an F1 contract and take them, and then in the next sort of 3 to 5 years maybe we'll have more drivers knocking on the door for Formula 1, so that 5 might become 10 very quickly.
I am obliged to ask you something about Formula 1 because the 2 drivers fighting for the title this year are yours drivers.
Yep.
How do you see the fight for the championship? There is one of them that you think can win more than the other?
No, both very, very fast drivers, both very complete in everything they do. Obviously Lando had a little bit of bad luck 2 races ago, but then bounced back. So I think it could come down to something as simple as that. If there's a mechanical problem or a penalty to one or the other, that may be the deciding factor in the end, because if you look at their lap times, their race pace, They are very, very similar, and they're pushing each other along and sort of taking their car, and them two drivers are being taken away from the rest of the field at the moment.
Can you recognize from what they are doing now them compared to what you saw in karting?
Yeah, they were both very special kids when they was here in 2014, 15, 16. You knew they both had bright careers and very strong careers in motorsport going forward. So it would have surprised me more if they wasn't in Formula One. So yeah, it's no surprise at all to see them fighting for the championship.
Thank you.
No problem.
Come sempre, voi chiedete.
Etikart risponde.
You have to know that from Instagram, people from home ask to see someone or something, and they ask it for you. So say hi to our friend.
Hi.
I don't remember the name of our friend. Anyway, ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you. Questa tutta bianca è la tenda KR. Qui c'è forse il meccanico più bello della tenda.
Più bello, sì, è vero.
Una distesa di carte incredibile. C'è il mio maestro lì. C'è anche Jacopo Martinese. Vedete qui i colori KR Global. Questi sono i banchi super fighi, tutti organizzati. Guardate qui che bel logo che c'è, tra l'altro. Se vi servono delle corone qui in KR non mancano. Il mio amico Ili, ciao. Ciao. Andiamo oltre, perché passando di qua c'è un'altra tenda gemella, qualche kart KR e Prema. Qui vediamo Dean Hogendorn e qui ancora altri kart. C'è anche una tenda Prema là. Chiudiamo il cerchio, abbiamo anche la tenda con l'hospitality. Come sempre voi chiedete a casa e Etikart risponde, ma il problema è che ci sono anche dei rimbambiti che non da casa ma dalla pista chiedono di vedere Jeremy Iglesias. Poi vai a leggere chi è che l'ha chiesto, leggi il nome ed era Jeremy Iglesias. Mi puoi dire come lo giudichi? Un giudizio? Matto.
No,
È matto.
quello sicuro.
È matto.
Secondo me per rispondere aspetta di finire i mondiali anche quello di Franciacorta.
Giusto.
A parte che l'ha scritto lui col mio telefono.
È vero?
Sì.
Guarda, questo è molto grave, eh? C'è anche il furto del telefono, cioè. Si vogliono bene. Siamo in una tenda di matti.
Trovame uno normale, non solo
In tutto il paddock. Hai ragione, ho sbagliato proprio io. Siamo andati a spasso per questo impianto e ve lo abbiamo mostrato. A spasso per l'impianto di Kristianstad. Alle mie spalle, oltre al bosco, come potete anche vedere dalle immagini dall'alto, siamo immersi nel verde. Là in fondo, giù, l'area camper, abbiamo anche la tribunetta, quella che era un po' una tribunetta molto sentite in passato. Adesso che questo bar è chiuso, questa struttura è un bar chiuso, qui il building principale dove poi ci sono i cronometristi, gli steward, lì sopra la nostra sala stampa, una bella terrazza, questa va fatta vedere. Sala stampa. E questa è la terrazza, direi che forse la vista più bella, insieme ai meccanici più in là, ce l'abbiamo noi. Lì in fondo la vedete, la tribuna enorme, coperta, bellissima, la postazione del direttore di gara, da qui si dà lo start ovviamente, e già da qui si può vedere la parte del parco chiuso e questa parte che collega l'uscita del tracciato all'ingresso. Ma andiamo a vedere, lo percorriamo proprio. Qui i kart rientrano, arrivano e vanno a infilarsi in quella casetta dove c'è la bilancia, dopodiché sono a parco chiuso. Qui sopra invece le cabine, diciamolo così, dei meccanici, che io credo da quest'anno hanno anche un ulteriore punto per vedere i loro piloti, che è questa sorta di terrazza alla quale si accede da questa scala. Questa è la pregriglia, stiamo percorrendo un po' al contrario il passaggio. E poi finalmente entriamo nel paddock che si estende fino a laggiù. Facciamo dare un'occhiata già da qua. Questa è sostanzialmente la strada principale del paddock, che poi va fino a laggiù e prosegue anche fino a là in fondo, e vedete che lì in quella direzione invece c'è l'ingresso con il parcheggio, quello più vicino al tracciato, e vedete che il paddock si estende fino praticamente a quegli alberi lì in fondo. Qui il negozio dove è stato spostato il bar, il negozio che prima era in quella casetta di legno, e qui appunto il self service che è già operativo. Vi facciamo vedere anche la cucina del luogo, e questo è il menù. Poi carne, ovviamente, patate e via. Benvenuti a Kristianstad. E adesso il momento caldo della giornata, quello delle finali, delle pregriglie. Guardate insieme agli highlights. Noi ci vediamo alla prossima.
Ciao!
Buongiorno! Terzo giorno di gare, il giorno delle finali, e in questo momento vedete che sono tutti con gomme Rain perché la pista al momento è bagnata. Vediamo che alcuni meccanici stanno andando evidentemente a vedere il livello di grip. Vedete, vediamo Alberto Baldrighi e Zedek Groman che stanno testando il livello di grip. Completely wet, full wet.
Sì. Per adesso sì. Le due curve in fondo, la 9 e la 10 non tantissimo, però è bagnata. Adesso non si può con le slick.
Un paio di turni o forse di più?
Un turno sicuro, forse un paio.
Quindi queste le condizioni per quest'oggi. Seguiteci negli aggiornamenti perché oggi si aggiudicano i due mondiali. Pregriglia della finalissima per il mondiale OKJ. Partiamo dal fondo. Una pregriglia in salita, vedete c'è questo dosso per poi arrivare a scollinare là dove c'è la prima fila e probabilmente là dove ci sono i due contendenti al titolo, che partiranno in una condizione particolare perché vedete abbiamo gomme da asciutto, ma la pista qui è ancora umida, anzi bagnata. Quindi su questo lato del tracciato vedete che la pista è ancora bagnata, mentre su quest'altro lato si è già creata una via asciutta che chiaramente darà maggior sicurezza, comfort diciamo a Noah Baglin, che vedete qui sulla sinistra in pole position proprio sull'asciutto. Vedete qui è il punto di passaggio tra il bagnato e l'asciutto, mentre Dean Ogendorn sarà costretto a partire in una condizione di maggior bagnato e dovrà cercare subito probabilmente la via dell'asciutto sulla sinistra. Non li disturbiamo, li lasciamo concentrati e tra poco avremo i vincitori per quanto riguarda almeno la prima categoria del campionato del mondo. 5 minuti al via della seconda finale di quest'oggi, seconda e ultima, che andrà ad assegnare il titolo per quanto riguarda la categoria OK. James Anagnostiadis, il leader fino adesso, veramente imbattibile, e poi al suo fianco Zach Drummond, a seguire Keller e Krutolov. Grande performance nella Super Heat, e poi Rama Ekers e Tom Pradier. A questo punto andiamo sulla sinistra con Tourney, che ha fatto un miracolo in Super Heat per non finire fuori gara nonostante un problema tecnico. Alla sua sinistra Noah Wolf, e poi tutta la griglia di partenza. Fra pochi istanti parte la finale.
Not stood on that top spot. Well, he's not stood on a World Championship podium in FIA karting at all until this very moment. He started this race on the inside of row number 3. You couldn't rule out the Belgian in this one, and I can imagine the emotions will be flying for him and the VDK team. The fight for the front though. Zach Drummond in the early stages fighting with Anagnostiadis. This fighting here brought the pack into play. You could see how Kelleher was fighting with the rest. Lev Krutsilov focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was pushing forward. And he certainly did that up into third place. Had to fight for it though. Did battle away with Joe Turney as Daniel Kelleher making the moves down the inside. You can see how everyone was closing in. Davide Bottaro there in that early stage for the CRG team. It was later fell back in the order, unfortunately dropped to 18th place there. The live feed on the right-hand side of your screen, replays on the left-hand side. Timo Rämäkäs, FIA Karting Senior OK World Champion for the VDK team. Absolute delight for them, and I can imagine they're making that long walk around the edge of the circuit back to the podium area. They had ladders and all sorts that they had to try and bring back with them, but I'm sure they will do that. The live feed still there on your screen. Rämäkäs there at that moment. Second place for him as Krutulov back to the inside of Joe Turney. Yeah, I don't think that Rämäkäs had any idea that that initial straight overtake he did on Drummond in that early stage would be the one and only he would need to deal with. There, Thomas Pradir. Well, really strong start to Pradir's race. Unfortunately, the Tony Kart driver, number 33, dropping to 12th place at the end of that race after fighting with Anagnostiotis. You can see this landish move to the inside. Anagnostiotis able to hold it through. A little bit of contact there between himself and Daniel Kelleher. That's really what I think put him backwards at that point. The same for Daniel Kelleher. There was the change to the lead. Timo Rämäkäs down the inside. Superb drive. The early lunge here. Drummond back on it. This really was a wake-up call for Rämäkäs to see if he could hold on to this lead, and that was only on the opening stages of it. And again, he had a close moment with Joe Turney. All of them trying to get those karts down the inside in those early stages, but unfortunately the gaps just not being there for them, and the field slotting backwards. This was Jenson Burnett in his stages, pushing through the race of Davide Bottaro. Aston Sharp as well. Great race for Sharp. The 21 places gained to finish inside that top 10 in P9. Jacob Miklev as well. Good recovery drive after a not great superheat earlier on, as Daniel Kelleher started to fight back at this point. He got back up the order a little bit, but later dropped back down. 15th place, Daniel Kelleher, unfortunately finishing that race. The Irishman who started on the outside of row number 2, not having the way. And, well, there you can see a little bit of frustration there between Craigie and Anagnostiotis. The number 4 and number 5 machine having a battle of their own. And Elliot Kaczynski, unfortunately, heavy damage to him. Sees him one of the early retirements in that race, finishing 33rd place. There, the massive lunge down the inside in the final stages for Noah Wolf, which I think put him under investigation. And later, he did retire from the final race in this one, which is a big shame for him. This right here, Drummond, Anagnostiotis and Craigie, all fighting, but unfortunately not for a podium spot. That would go the way across the line of Timo Rämäkäs, celebrating his first ever FIA World Championship podium in the OK class, and it comes as a P1. That's what it means to the team. For VDK and for Timo Rämäkäs, it's a great day in the office. And also for Kart Republic, with one of their karts 1 and 2 on the FIA podium. Energy Course once again with a podium sitter. They can be delighted with a 3rd place for Lev Krutulov. And oh dear, I feel very sorry for anyone who had an earpiece on in that VDK team. I was yelling down the microphone, but there is what it means. Mr. Kennard there with the VDK team. The Belgian team have done a brilliant job with their driver and have really pushed him forward in his racing, as yes, it can be heartbreak for others. For Joe Turney, once again, he misses out on that title. But for Timo Rämäkäs, he celebrates as that top one, and it doesn't just mean it to the drivers. It is a team sport. No matter what you say, the drivers have a big role to play in it, but the teams deliver the drivers to the circuits. They deliver the karts. They deliver the package that these drivers need to go to battle on the circuit. And in 2025, they see their young man Thibaut Ramackers, in his second year of senior racing, stand on that top step of the podium for the first time in FIA World Karting Championships. What a world it's been, what a weekend it has been for the OK and OKJ class soon. Let's have a look at the highlights on that one. Well, Hoogendoorn stuck on that inside line. Baglin switching to the outside line, which is the pole sitter's right. He had the optimal line there through turns 1 and into the chicane. The dry racing line that had started to form at that point. There'd been no racing on the track before that one, but the drama right at the start of that one, Michael McCoy, Bosco Arias and William Kalesia out of the race right at the start. 3 heavy hitters in the field this weekend, unfortunately not seeing that checkered flag. And unfortunately, that's another angle of it. 3 of them tangling together at the exit of the chicane. You can only imagine despair at that point. The early stages of the race, Evan Purcell was fighting up at that sharp end. Later would drop down just that little bit. Unfortunately for him, not the result he would have wanted. Evan Purcell from the second row of the grid, finishing all the way down in 17th place. Not the drive the Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver would have wanted. You can see he was fighting at the sharp end here. Turner Brown was there as well in those early stages as well. Another one of the Ricky Flynns that at that point seemingly muscled out of the way of the Kart Republics, who pushed their way through here. The early stages though, on that first lap, Hoogendoorn seemingly, at this stage, wasn't looking like he was going to have the race pace here on this one. Looking down at the engine, checking possibly the reads on the kart, but still just trying to get that kart up in the top section that allowed everyone to break through. Turner Brown, Valerio Villapiana as well. Villapiana later audacious lunges down the inside here. I don't think Turner Brown would have taken too kindly for that one. That brought Hoogendoorn back up into 3rd place. Again, lunges down the inside. Villapiana pushing as hard as he could there in those early stages to get that kart up in that sharp end of the field. Iskender Sofakari as well, getting those moves done earlier on in the race. Unfortunately for the driver from Turkey, for Forza Racing, down 4 places in that final and dropping to 14th place. I'm sure still a great drive from him over the course of this 2025 World Championship campaign, but unfortunately not seeing himself on the podium. Leonardo Gorski, what can we say about this young man here? What a drive that was for the MP Kart Racing driver. Really strong performance there. He was fighting in and around those top spots in the podium, battling away at the end with Villapiana and Dean Hoogendoorn. Unfortunately, just missing out on that one. Manuel Maguez as well on the CRG. What a race from him. 18 positions gained. That pushed him up in the order. Then the fight for second place happened. We knew we weren't going to see a battle for the race lead at this point. Hoogendoorn back down the inside, fighting for it. Will Green as well on the charge through the Prema Racing driver, the Williams back driver, trying to get involved. Eskandari going for the move there as well in the background on Ludovico Marcella, not able to get that move done in the end, and unfortunately Ludovico Marcella retiring at the end of that race. Moment with Maxim Bobrozov that saw him retire. There was Andrea Mani for Forza Racing. 2 of the Forza drivers out with Mani and Kalesia. 2 big names there within the Forza team, unfortunately not seeing the end of this final. Oskari Volli in that one as well was another great big mover in that one. 11 places gained from P22 on the grid. He was just finishing outside the top 10 in that final. At this moment here, Oskari Volli, Dean Hoogendoorn and Hoogendoorn. This is all a very close fight for them. But I think we're going to be cutting down to Nicole Sutherland, who I believe is ready over by the podium area, as we'll be seeing those top 3 drivers on those podiums very, very soon. Don't go anywhere. Well, at the end of that final, Baglin taking the win and securing that top spot in the final. Finally, a World Championship name he can take to his senior racing for the young man from Prema Racing for the United Kingdom. Missed out on it last year. but can celebrate in fine fashion on that podium, and throws out a good chunk of skid marks there on the track at the end of that one. The burnout down the hill to celebrate that final victory, and you can see the congratulations not from just his teammates but from every other driver at the end of that one, as everyone started to make their way back in.